I recently had the chance to catch up with Nolan over at LendCap and check in on how his brokerage launch was going. He told me how in his first month he had closed about 1.5 million and he had closed about 12 million over his first 6 months in the business. He was an accountant when he started, and within the first month he saw the opportunity and he quit his job and is now brokering full time.
I've only started back in July. I left my job at the accounting firm, and now I'm working for LendCap full time. I'm seeing an exponential growth, honestly. It's pretty funny because when I first started in July, I closed my first deal probably around, I'm going to say, this is July 24, by the way. So I'm going to say we closed the first deal somewhere in August. We did like a $1.5 million dollar. It was like a community housing. They were fixing like their roof, and we just did stuff for them. I wasn't really too into the deal. I was pretty green at that point. As you know, Kevin, who I work with, he was kind of, showing me the ropes and how to properly, place a deal and do all that stuff. So he did more of the work in that sense. But now that I'm seeing our growth expanding, we've been mainly expanding through center of influences through banks. A lot of business bankers, what I've seen, the Wells Fargos, the Chases, the Bank of Americas, they've been, due to the economic environment, they've been kind of closing off on a lot of their lending. Like they need to see, like, you have your A plus borrowers, they need like A plus 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 borrowers to get approved. So when I built that relationship up, they're like, oh, we want to keep that relationship because at the end of the day, business bankers, they really want that deposit relationship with their client. And how LendCap kind of comes into play is we always tell them, we're not here to compete with you guys. We're here to complement you. So we're going to keep that business relationship with you guys and send your clients over to our private lenders. All that stuff that CLBI offers us. So that's been actually a real big hit, especially when it comes to bridge lending. A lot of big banks don't do that. Hard money, a lot of big banks don't do that either. Business lending, again, you have to be at least putting in, they're not going to give you a term loan unless you have $3, $4, $5 million in that bank alone. So that's kind of where we come in, and that's a lot of the success that we were seeing.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you said kind of in the first month, so July to August, in the first month you closed your first deal. That was about 1.5 million. Do you
Right.
remember how many points you had on that? What the commission was?
I believe it was just 1 point.
Okay, so still 15,000 for your first month. That's great.
And then
And
most recent deal I kind of wanted to talk about because that's probably now that I've been through this a couple months now, or coming up on 6 months, I would say that now this is the deal that I literally saw from start to finish, to where we got the client, to where we closed the client, and that we actually went to the closing. So a little bit about that deal. It was right around the corner over in Red Bank, I'm over in Colts Neck. So give or take 10, 15 minutes away. And how it happened was, we had a realtor reach out to us and say, hey, my client's looking at a residential property, but he's thinking about buying a commercial property as well, him and his business partner. So, they sent it to the same bank they were getting the funding for their residential, and they got declined. And you're like, huh, that's weird. So I told him, I said, let me look at the deal, and I'm going to be transparent with the borrower. I said, hey, we're only going to charge you 1 point. You're a local guy, you're friends of so-and-so or really good COI. So we're going to help you out and, help you get funded. So then he's like, sure, here's the details of the property. The one aspect that I knew that the bank didn't like was that it's a mixed-use property and the residential aspect was vacant. And there was no LOI in place, letter of intent for the lease. So you have a big vacancy. Because on the cash flow, it was cash flowing, but not to the 1.25 DSCR that the banks are looking for. Now they're looking more at like a 1.4, 1.5, some of them, but it all depends. So what we did, we looked around the surrounding area and we're like, all right, a big bank probably isn't going to like this. Uh, so then we looked at private lenders and we looked at credit unions. We found one credit union that was really local and that we actually had a connection with prior to. So we actually had that already, connection to the lender to be like, hey, this is a property. You can see it. It's right in your backyard. And the client is literally, 10 minutes away from you. So we can set up, a meeting with the lender so that they feel comfortable. And the parameters that they're looking for a 530, which we got them. And we got a really competitive interest rate at the time, which being around 7%. And to top it off, we were negotiating with the borrower. And at the end of the day, even when we get the term sheet, we always try to sweeten the pot, so to speak, to make it the best deal possible for our clients. Even though, like, we get the term sheet, to us at LendCap, that's kind of not good enough. We want to kind of, go above and beyond for our client. So we negotiated and we said, hey, can you remove this prepay? No problem at all. So we got 7.5, we got around 7%. It was like 7.15, 525, and no prepayment penalty. And that flexibility for the client allowed them to, potentially pay it off quicker and not get penalized for it. And the reason why we asked for this is because the client was very strong and they had a really good track record of paying off properties early, on time. So we thought it'd be a perfect fit for them. And funny enough, to have that more of a personal aspect and, have a better business relationship with them, he texts us. He's like, oh, you're going to do a shot of tequila at closing, bring a bottle. And I'm like, yeah. I was like, yeah, I'll bring it. But I wasn't sure if he was joking or not. He put like, ha ha. I surprised him with the bottle of tequila. We all took a shot, us, the lawyer, the lender. It was just kind of like a memorable thing to, celebrate someone's closing.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, you're building personal relationships, you're helping local entrepreneurs, and you're helping out local lenders. You're building up the community and you're having fun doing it. I mean, you're getting shots out of it. That's awesome.
Yeah. And it was fun because it's because you get to meet the lawyer, you get to meet the other lender, and you get to meet the borrower and the seller. And shake hands and physically meet someone in person. It's different than when you have like a telephone conference, like a Zoom like this. It's personal, but once you see that person, like, oh my God, you're a real person kind of thing, like, oh wow. And it kind of builds that relationship to be like, okay, I'm going to associate Nolan with lending. I'm going to associate Shane with CLBI, that kind of thing. When you meet someone face to face.
Awesome. That's awesome. And so you've been in the game now for 6 months with your brokerage. And do you know how much you've closed over the past 6 months, approximately?
So I got to think because it's been pretty busy. Like we probably closed, we got, I wasn't sure if I should get like populate a list. Because we had, I'm trying to think, because we've closed like over 10 deals. At average, where we got one that's, we're closing in on one of around like 8 million up in Utica. And then we're closing another one up in North Jersey for around 1.5. We have another one in South Jersey around the 1.2, 1.3 range. And we closed on an SBA deal of around $500,000, and we're closing another SBA deal around 3.5 million. And then we have a factoring line of credit through which Derek Brown introduced us to Darren. And we've closed 3 deals with him. One for 880,000, one for 700,000, and then one for like $500,000. So we've been kind of steadily closing deals. We actually just closed a short-term loan for around 50,000 this morning, and we're trying to get another one for around 200. We just got the commitment letter today. I would say roughly, like a rough estimate, like 10 million we probably closed 10 or 15 million.
In the first
So
couple of months.
yeah, in the first couple of months. So, I mean, we have other big deals, hopefully, coming to close. We have I would say around 75 million in the pipeline at the moment. We have a very big deal that we're trying to close over in Midland, Texas that's still in the works. And it's like a big project. It's around $20 million bridge that we're trying to fund. So we're trying to go through that process. But as of closing, yeah, I would say around probably like 12 million. We've closed in the past 6 months. We've done fairly well.
That's great. That's great. I mean, that's a big pipeline, 75 million. And,
Yeah. Oh
you
yeah, we're
know,
closing in on a distressed church. So
interesting.
it was 3.4 million over in North Carolina. So the problem with that church was it was a really big issue, and I'm just thankful that they're going to close. Basically, what happened was they had an issue with their mortgage, in which the tenants that they had on the property were paying the mortgage directly and not the bank account. So it was kind of an issue when you go and look at the bank statements because there's no money in them because the tenants are paying down that principal balance too fast. And so they're like, whoa, they're paying it to the wrong account. So we actually worked with them and the accountant to correct that issue because when we first looked at the deal and we got our package, I was like, what's happening? I'm like, where's this money coming from? Because being an accountant, that's kind of what is great about this is I was in audit for about, 5-6 years. And when you're looking at stuff like this, you're like, that's a red flag. I'm like, where's the money coming out of? And they're like, oh, it's getting paid directly to there. I was like, no, it's not. And I kind of, went over the bank statements with, the owner and the controller. And they're like, oh, shoot. And they went back to the account and they reset up the accounts. And we had to wait we waited probably like a month and a half to try to get a letter of an explanation to the lender and also to show proof that, hey, look, the funds are already in the account and they're properly going into the account. Because the biggest thing that I've found, especially when going through CLBI's training program, I would say about 75% is the deal itself, if you have a good deal or a bad deal, and 25% is presenting that deal. I really think if you present something properly, even if it's an okay deal, you can get it funded.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the way that you guys kind of, Derek and yourself showed how to properly present that deal to people. Because if you present a good deal poorly, no one's really going to look at it. And if you know how to properly write down your deal summary and what exactly the lenders are looking for and kind of hit on the key hot topics of your deal and get rid of those pain points that the lender kind of looks at, you can get it funded. And especially that template that Derek, gave us in the book, it's like boom, boom, boom. So now I can really, I can write it in my sleep, basically what I'm trying to look at, how I'm going to present it to someone, and I'm sure we can get it funded.
Right. That's awesome. That's awesome. What else would you say have been really helpful tools or trainings or tips or tricks that you got from the CLBI experience?
Definitely LinkedIn, dude. LinkedIn is like, it's funny because I try to post. We really like the social media aspect that you guys set us up with LinkedIn, because having those articles posted, I can write my little synopsis on it on the front on my personal LinkedIn, and I do a quick summary, write it up, post it with my thoughts, and it kind of gets, I've had some good conversations on the posts about what I've put into the article or what, my thoughts on the article and how it affects. Because a lot of the articles that you guys have been posted on the LinkedIn are really like actual like good information and it's current event wise. Like we just had one about the SBA. I had like 4 or 5 lenders text me about, the new changes that are coming up. I believe it was regarding visa holders and non-residences. So I believe if you're a non-resident, you're no longer qualified. And we're talking about, because I deal a lot of people that have visas that can still get the SBA. They're legally here. So we were talking about that. And next thing you know, it's like, oh, I got because some of these SBA guys, they get apartment deals that they can't fund because they're like, I don't know anything about, SBA won't let you fund an apartment loan. So I'm like, dude, I got one of the best lenders in the country. I got this other guy. We're closing on a $2.5 million deal up in Metuchen for a 25-unit apartment. And we did it for a builder, and great interest rate, got him at his construction loan, got him an interest only. And he was like blown away with the terms. He goes, I'm going to give you all my other apartments, dude. And you're going to refinance my commercial properties as well. So we got that account, which, we're really fortunate to get. But it's all about networking. That's our thing went from 10 followers on LinkedIn to now we just got over a 500th follower the other day. So we're growing pretty fast.
It's really powerful. I mean, what you're doing is, again, just having fun building real relationships, right?
Right.
And along the way, you never know which one's going to produce, but when they produce, they can be producing tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands in commission, all off of one random LinkedIn post that you had no idea would make anything.
Right.
It's awesome, man.
And it's really cool because on LinkedIn, it tells you, if you have Sales Navigator, it tells you like how many impressions do you get, how many people are looking at your post. So it gets you a good idea on, who's reposting your post, who's looking at it, and it tells you what fields they're in. If they're in the finance industry, if they're in the staffing industry, if they're in marketing, all that stuff. And yeah, I mean, I just try to use it to my advantage and just use my network and just let people know that you're out here,
That's awesome. That's awesome. Great. Well, that's tons of great stuff. Thank you, Nolan. But is there anything like how you work differently with clients, those sorts of things?
I think what we work differently with clients, I just think we have that like a bulldog mentality. Like if we think we can fund your deal, we are adamant that we can fund your deal, whether it be good, bad, or ugly. Because we've just recently closed on an equipment loan. It was a distressed car wash. Car wash has been out for 2 years. A group of brothers bought it in cash for probably like $3 million and change. They wanted to pull out just 1.4 million out of that car wash to buy new equipment. And a lot of these bridge lenders that we've had and that we've used would thought, oh, let's go to the bridge route. And then everyone kept saying, do you have historics? Do you have historics? Do you have historics? And it's like, no, there's no historics. Like this has been out of business for 2 years. The equipment's old. Unfortunately, the person that sold was dealing with various health issues, so they couldn't run the property properly or the business, and that's why they ended up selling at a bargain because the area that it's in is a very high affluent area, and it sees around 280,000 cars a day. So it's high traffic. There's like a Starbucks, there's a really nice hotel, there's a mall. I'm like, this business should be killing it, absolutely killing it. So the group of brothers had 3 gas stations in the heart of Philly. Did insanely well. They do very well themselves. And I was like, we discussed with the team and I said, maybe a bridge loan isn't the right way. Maybe we should go the equipment route, just a sole-based equipment lending. Let's do a global cash flow analysis and see if we can help them. And then surely enough, we found a lender out in Maryland that would do the deal. And, we negotiated terms. They got rid of their point. We charged 1 point and got them an interest rate around 9% interest only. And, as soon as this car wash is up and running, they can refinance this out. We already have an exit strategy planned out. When the car wash is probably a year in, we're going to refinance them out with something conventional and hopefully get them, a 25-year AM or 30-year AM term.
Right. So you've got an immediate solution when there was no solution available. And then you've got the exit strategy, which is going to be another refi. So you've got 2 separate commissions baked into the deal.
Right. And that's another thing that LendCap thinks about. Well, I'm not trying to put people into something that I know that they can't get out of. I want to put a client in the best terms and conditions and have the best exit strategy available. Because at the end of the day, the business will thrive with good terms and good conditions.
Yep. So for you, it's all about making a successful outcome for your clients.
Right. And I think with that, the business just follows. You do something well for one person. A lot of these business people, they have a ton of clientele, and then they have a ton of friends that also own businesses. It's a whole network that you have to be a part of. And the only way in is to, do them right and help them out as best as you can.
And if you are serving them well, every deal rolls into another deal, rolls into maybe three
Right.
more deals because they have that network.
Yeah. And then you build your trust and then you build your brand, saying that this is the guy that's going to, he's not going to whack you over the head. He's going to do what's best for you at the end of the day. That's what we want to be known for.
Because that's not always associated with the loan broker industry, right?
Right. Everyone's like, oh, like I've heard some horror stories, and we try our best in LendCap to disprove those stereotypes. Because, I mean, I think we had one client, we're like, oh, I went to a broker, and I'm like, oh, like, how much were they charging you? Because some clients, will shop around. That's inevitable. And they'll deal with other brokers. They're like, oh, he was charging me 4 points. I'm like, 4 points? Are you kidding? Like, we're charging you 1. Yeah, just don't call that guy. Like, he's way out of the price range. But some people, I mean, it is what it is. Like, I understand you got to make money. But it does have sometimes it does have a negative connotation that we've ran into. We're like, oh, like you guys are brokers. We are, but we're going to show you why you should use us.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks so much, Shane. I had fun.
Thank you. I had fun too. Good seeing you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. I always enjoy getting an opportunity to chat with folks like Nolan, who have gone through the CLBI programs, have launched their brokerage, are out in the market, and are crushing it. If you're ever looking for more resources on how you can jump into this industry, just check out our website at commercialloanbrokerinstitute.com.